Okay, I think we're live. This is the first time I'm doing this, so you're gonna have to bear with me. Just figuring it out. Um, if you can see and hear me clearly, please hit or type yes in the chat. I see lots of questions. Oh, nice. Okay, cool. So firstly, thank you for, I feel like I'm giving a uni presentation. Thank you for taking the time to be here today. As usual, thank you for subscribing to the channel, supporting the channel, tuning in whenever I release videos and that. Always appreciated. So today I thought I'll do something different. I thought, you know what, let me do I was gonna say Instagram live. Let me do a YouTube live. I put a poll up on Instagram, so I've got lots of questions from a lot of people who are following me there. And I see a lot of you are sending in questions on the YouTube chat as well. What I'm going to try and do is go through as many questions as I can in the next 30 or so minutes. The questions that I think a lot of people will get the most value from, rather than very specific questions that are specific to individuals. But yeah, hopefully this will be useful for some of you. And then, yeah, if it works out well, I might do it like a weekly thing or a bi-weekly thing going forward. Like a 30-minute or an hour session every week to kind of help you guys with any questions that you've got. So yeah, firstly, let's go to the first questions. Let's just get straight into it. Okay. How do you go about applying for investment bank summer internships without a spring week? So this is a question that I get a lot. If you haven't secured your spring week offers and you're going into your second year or third year and you're applying for and you want to apply for summer internships, how do you do so? You know, it's tricky because you're up against competition who have spring weeks on their CVs, and so you kind of need to stand out in some way, shape, or form. And if you haven't got any relevant experience, the next best thing is any form of experience, even if it's irrelevant. Try and be, you know, a part of a society. Don't just be a member of a society. Try and take on a leadership position, because you have to remember, you know, your CV, 5 to 10% of it is going to be your grades. The rest of it is going to be your experience and your extracurricular activities. So you need to kind of just build your CV and have a strong cover letter. When you're focusing on applying to investment banks, when you're writing your cover letter, you need to focus on 3 key areas. So the first section needs to be, why do you want to work for this investment bank? The second paragraph or the second section needs to be, why this division specifically? So why do you want to work in asset management? Why do you want to work in investment banking? Why do you want to work in sales and trading? Why do you want to work in operations? So on and so forth. And then the third paragraph will be a section on why you as an individual. So you can touch on your experience as part of a society, as part of volunteering, as part of any work experience outside of the world of banking and finance, and how that's built your key competencies like interpersonal skills, attention to detail, analytical skills, all the skills that you need to be successful in banking. You can touch on how you develop those in the world outside of banking. So if you haven't got spring weeks, it's not the end of the world. You just need to kind of try and build your CV in other ways. And a lot of people have got summer internships who didn't do spring weeks to start off with, so it's not the end of the world. So yeah, hope that answers your question there. Should you send a thank you note after a phone interview? I don't think you need to. A lot of these investment banks, especially the big ones, they get so many candidates who they interview. It's nice to send a thank you note, but it will have, I believe, it will have more of an impact at a boutique firm or a smaller organization compared to a bulge bracket investment bank. How can I impress my employees or my colleagues during my spring weeks? So a lot of you probably have spring weeks coming up. We're in March now. March, April is the time for spring weeks. For those of you unfamiliar with spring weeks, it's 1 week, 2 week internships at banks. How can you impress? Basically, you have to understand, typically at the end of your spring week, there's going to be like an assessment or an interview, or they're going to make a decision. And that decision is going to lead to either you getting a summer internship offer or not. And so when you're doing a spring week, you need to prioritize getting the offer, securing that offer so you can go to uni the following year with a summer internship in the bag. What to do in that spring week to get that offer is basically you might be given a piece of work or a project to work on throughout your spring week, and then you have to present it at the end, you need to make sure you smash that project, because a lot of it is going to come down to that final presentation, and you're going to have to kind of pitch yourself to your colleagues, your manager, so on and so forth, and say, you know, I've spent a week or two here, this is what I've learned, this is what I've produced, and it needs to be of high quality, so you can show them that, okay, this female or this male graduate or student is very impressive. They produce high quality work. They understand the work that we do here. They understand the role of the team or the division, and they fit in naturally. One of the underrated things that people don't pay too much attention to is likability, getting on with your colleagues, getting on with the people that you work with. End of the day, when you work for an investment bank, it's not going to be a 9 to 5. You're going to be working 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 hours, depending on the division. And so if I'm sat next to someone and they might be bright, but if we just don't click, if we don't really connect well, then I'm not going to enjoy working with them. So a lot of securing an offer is likability, being likable, and fitting in to the team and the organization. So to impress on your spring week, make sure you produce high quality work on your project. Make sure you get to know lots of people, network, meet people, be likable, be yourself. And at the end, make sure you're prepared for your interviews or assessment centers that lead to the summer internship offer. Your main goal for your spring week should be to secure the summer internship offer. I'm seeing so many messages in the YouTube chat, so I'll go for a question there. Have you got any plans on interviewing a private banker? So one thing I wanted to do, and I've done a few videos previously where I interview people in the industry, is, you know, interview people, different seniorities, different parts of the industry. Oftentimes when you're working for an investment bank, there's a lot of restrictions. So because of compliance, compliance is like the police officers of the investment bank. They monitor what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do, what you're allowed to say, what you're not allowed to say. And so sometimes investment banks don't really want their employees going on YouTube and doing interviews, or in case they say something that doesn't look good for the bank. And some organizations are more lenient. So it's something I'm thinking about. I haven't got any plans to do interviews yet, but as and when, maybe, like, I had an idea to do a podcast at some point, but I didn't have time to start it. So maybe in the future. Do you need to have a super high IQ to be a widely successful investment banker? I don't think you need to have a super high IQ to work in the world of banking and finance. Obviously, most people in this industry are high achievers. They're very bright. But, you know, there's two parts to this. You can have high IQ, but in this day and age, especially in the world of work, where you're working with so many different personalities and individuals, you need to have high EQ as well. So emotional intelligence. And I think the most successful people in any industry have very high IQ, and they have very high emotional intelligence, or a high emotional quotient. And so, yeah, it's always good to have both of those. But at the same time, you get people with low IQ that do extremely well because they know, you know, they're good at building relationships. They know how to play the game. They know how to get ahead. They work really hard. So it's not like your IQ determines everything or how far you go in your career. When will you be launching Simply? So Simply, it was on the App Store. We took it down. Main thing is, when you're doing mentoring sessions or video calls like this, you do it over a desktop, right, rather than a mobile phone. And so we're currently building it. I want to say we're almost there, but I don't want to give a date to it. But once it's ready, it's going to be a web app, so you guys can use it on your desktop and hopefully book mentors from all over the world. So I want to say hopefully it'll be ready in the next month or 1.5 months. Where are we? What did you most enjoy or hate about your life as an investment banker? Why don't you work in investment banking? So one thing to make clear, I never worked in the investment banking division. I worked in asset management. So this is something that's important to kind of clarify and distinguish, because within an investment bank, you've got, a lot of you know this, and I'm just saying this for those that don't. Within an investment bank, you've got the front office division, or divisions, and then you've got the back office. The front office consists of things like the investment banking division, the sales and trading division, asset management, private banking, and merchant banking. The back office divisions include technology, accounting, human resources, finance, compliance, so on and so forth. Front office generally tend to be client-facing roles, and they generally tend to be revenue-generating parts of the investment bank. Back office tend to be support functions for the front office, but the bank can't function without either, so it needs both of them. And so the investment banking division specifically is the part of the investment bank where the employees work the longest hours. As an analyst, you can expect to get in at like 9 a.m. and leave the office at midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. for your first 1 or 2 years. So it's very long hours, but you're compensated accordingly. So at the end of the year or the beginning of the next year, you can expect a huge bonus compared to the rest of your peers in the other divisions. Now, compare that to asset management, which is the area I was in. The work-life balance is a lot better. Now, it's not a 9 to 5. You're getting in 7, 8 a.m., leaving 7, 8 p.m. So it's 12-hour days, for example, as opposed to 15, 16, 17-hour days. And as a result, the bonuses tend to be not as big as the investment banking division. But, it depends on what you want for your career. It depends on what you prioritize and what you think you're going to be good at. Personally, I didn't want to go into investment banking specifically because I don't want to work extremely long hours. I wanted a good work-life balance. And from my first year of university, I did some experience at BlackRock, which is an asset manager. And I thought, you know what, I like this. It's client facing. I've got strong interpersonal skills. I like public speaking, blah, blah, blah. I can see myself doing this. So naturally, I got interested in asset management. And then I just ended up doing asset management internship at Goldman's and then converting that into a full-time offer. And then you've got like sales and trading and all these other areas. So, it's important to understand there's lots of different divisions and parts of a bank. And so whenever you hear investment banking or investment bank, always think of the different areas, because a lot of students just want to go and work in the investment banking division without really knowing too much about it. And the second part is, where's the question gone? Why don't you work in banking anymore? So I'd say this to a lot of students, and I did a talk at Warwick University about 2 days ago, and King's College last week. I always tell students and graduates, after you start the world of work, after you do 2 years, between 2 and 5 years, there's that gap, 2 to 5 years of experience. You need to kind of step back and ask yourself, is this what I want to do for the rest of my career? Am I happy in this role? Do I see myself in this industry for the foreseeable future? Because before 2 years, you're quite inexperienced. And so it's good to build some experience. After 5 years, you're quite expensive. If you want to move to another company, they're going to have to pay a lot of money to hire you. So you're quite expensive after 5 years. Between that 2 to 5 year gap, it's a good place to step back and analyze, what you want to do. What's your next move? Personally, I feel it's like the right time to do that. And so when I was doing that at Goldman's, for me, it was like, all right, there's this route at Goldman's. Banking is great. The learning curve was steep at the beginning, then it starts flattening out. And then there was, entrepreneurship, public speaking, and doing stuff like this, being a bit more creative, YouTube, etc., etc. And so I had to make that decision. Which one do I want to pursue over the long run? Can I see myself becoming, climbing at Goldman, being in the same shoes as my seniors at Goldman? The honest truth was, when I looked around, there wasn't anyone that I really aspired to be like. There wasn't anyone that I thought, okay, yeah, I want to be in their shoes 5, 10 years from now. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people in the world of banking earning a lot of money. But for me, it got to a point where it's like, I didn't want to go into work. You would wake up and it would be like, oh, I can't be bothered for this anymore. Blah, 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 blah. It ebbs and flows. Sometimes you're like, oh, I'm looking forward to going to work. Sometimes you're like, oh, I can't. But when it happens for too many days in a row, you need to kind of take that as a hint and try and analyze the situation. So for me, it took about 1.5 years to actually take that leap of faith and go and start doing my own thing, leave the world of banking once and for all, and start entrepreneurship, start YouTube, etc., etc. Now, for me, it was a very rational. Decision, and the reason I say that is because at the time I was 25, 26, and I thought, okay, if I leave the world of banking, Goldman, etc., now, and I pursue entrepreneurship and the content creator path, if it all works out, then great. I could, pursue that as a career. over time earn more than I would in banking, so on and so forth. If it doesn't work out, then what's going to happen? And the worst case scenario was there's going to be a job at Goldman Sachs. If not Goldman's, there's going to be a job at JP Morgan. If not JP Morgan, there's going to be a job at Morgan Stanley, so on and so forth. So those options were always there. And the good thing is, and this is one thing that really helped, having the stamp of Goldman Sachs on your CV really helps. So, having a powerful brand, a popular brand on your CV helps. So I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent, but I think some of you might be interested. Yeah, so that was the risk. Either do it now or look back in 5-10 years and regret not taking that opportunity to pursue your own career in a field that you care more about, as opposed to just sitting in banking like everyone else. And there's no right or wrong answer. It really comes down to your own circumstances. For me, I got lucky. Like, I left 3 years ago and I've been working for myself, doing my own thing, and everything's working out. Alhamdulillah, I'm very fortunate in that sense. But yeah, everyone's circumstances are different and you need to kind of weigh out your own options. All right, that was a long ass answer. I want to know what the entry salary is for Goldman Sachs Asset Management and the salary in the pure play asset management firm. Honestly, I don't want to give you the answers to that, because I think if you're just going for jobs because of the salary, you're approaching the whole thing wrong. Maybe I'll do a video on it at some point, but honestly, focus on what you are more interested in within the investment bank or other industries, and then you'll get further. Don't think about the money to begin with. They're all well paid, I'll tell you that. Would you suggest CFA to break into asset management? Yes, so CFA is a qualification that is very, very popular in the world of fund management, investment management, etc. It's more popular to do CFA if you want to go into asset management compared to if you want to go into the world of investment banking. And the reason for that is a lot of the content covered in the CFA, level 1, level 2, level 3, are very specific to the world of fund management, asset management, investing. And so if you are an analyst or a junior employee or an associate at an asset management organization, chances are you're going to do the CFA, especially if you're in the investment side. So if you're going down the trading or the portfolio manager route, you're likely going to do CFA. A lot of the salespeople do it as well. However, if you're working in the investment banking division, not as many people do it. Some people do it. God knows how they find time, but it's very impressive for someone who's working in investment banking division and doing CFA, because typically when you're working and doing CFA, your day will finish at 6, 7, 8, 9 p.m. and then you need to go and study for the CFA. Each level requires 300 hours of study, which is a lot. And then only 40% of people that sit the exams tend to pass. So it's tough. WhatsApp's going off. So it's a tough qualification. But typically your firm will pay for it. If you want to break into asset management and you haven't got any grad schemes, yes, a lot of people do CFA level 1. It does look good on the CV. Personally, I think if you want to break into asset management and if you've got CFA on your CV, all 3 levels, I think maybe it might even look better than doing a master's. It will come out to a similar cost. Master's is probably more expensive. But yeah, it's something to think about. Let me go back to the Instagram questions. If you ain't following me on Instagram, I think there's links below at Afzal_Hussein. Hit me up there. One point. I get a lot of messages from so many different people in my DMs, email, etc. And I would love to write meaningful responses to every single one of them. Unfortunately, I can't, because it will just take a lot more time than I can possibly give. And so that's why I'm doing things like this, and that's why I put out videos. So apologies if I don't ever respond to you. What's your favorite? Who's your favorite for Champions League? Obviously Liverpool. Come on now. Best way to get into a hedge fund. Will finance, PhD, and CFA be enough without experience? Honestly, it varies from company to company, but to get into a hedge fund is typically not something you do after you graduate. Yes, if you've got a PhD in some very niche technical subject, like, I don't know, statistics, a PhD in maths, or AI or whatever it is that is relevant to an area of the hedge fund that you want to work in, that will help you. But a lot of people, in my analyst class, I saw a lot of people from sales and trading do 2 years and then go and work for hedge funds. A lot of people in IBD did 1 or 2 years and then went into very small niche private equity shops. So yeah, it's more, just building up your relevant experience. PhD does help. The more niche type of trading or investing roles, the better it is to have a more specific finance degree if you're going to pursue a finance degree to get in, and you don't have in replacement of work experience. Wanted to thank you for being an inspiration. Started my path and just joined GSAM. Congrats, well done, enjoy it. Yeah, always happy to help. Have you ever regretted the choice of leaving the world of banking, asset management? Honestly, no. So this goes back to what I was saying earlier. I left in 2018. I told myself 2 years, if it don't work out, I'm going to go back, do a U-turn. I'm going to say, all right, it didn't work out. I'm going to accept defeat and go back into the world of finance, whatever it is. It's been coming up to 3 years now. Everything's working out. It's all good. One of the blessings, like the year I left in 2018, and then like so many things happened that year that I wouldn't have been able to do. So for example, if you work for an investment bank, you get like 23 days of holiday a year in the UK. I think in the US it's like 10, which is nuts. So I took off 4 weeks straight. I went 4 weeks with my mum. I went to Hajj pilgrimage as a Muslim. It's compulsory for those of you that know or don't know. 4 weeks I took off, and that was because I was kind of working on my own terms. If I was at Goldman's, I would have probably been able to take off 2 weeks at a time, most maybe 3 weeks, but no one does that. So I was able to take off 4 weeks, and then 2018, I got engaged. Like all these big life events happened after I left Goldman's, which was, I don't know, which was mad. But yeah, I think too many people dwell on it too long. So yeah, no, I don't have any regrets from leaving. If I wanted to go back into the industry, I think I could. I'll be, I would. I don't really care so much about, like ego, status, pride, and all of that, because even if you break in at the junior level, you can earn a very good salary, right? And then your career is 30, 40, 50 years long. 2, 3, 4 years down the line, you'll be climbing. And then most people, so you start analyst, associate, VP, MD, whatever. Most people get to MD, and the typical population of an investment bank is majority vice presidents, yeah? And then only a handful or small population may become managing director. And then at Goldman's, you've got partner, which is even smaller percentage. And most people get to VP. So whether you get to VP 10 years in your career or 20 years down the line, whatever, you all end up there. It's just a title. Yeah, so I don't know. I honestly, no regrets looking back. So many questions. Thank you for sending in all these questions. Any advice for getting into London investment bank from South Africa? I would say check out SEO London, sponsors for educational opportunity. I think they have an Africa program, and they like help students from Africa or South Africa, wherever, all over the continent, kind of secure internship and investment bank opportunities in London and the US. So definitely check them out. Do you think messaging university or your school alumni is actually effective? 100%. You have more of a chance of getting a response from someone that's gone to your school or university compared to someone that hasn't. So definitely do that. Reach out to people who, have been on a similar path to you, because, they're more inclined to help you because they kind of relate to you. They understand where you're coming from to a certain extent. So yeah, definitely reach out to people who are alumni of your school and university. Would you recommend further education for undergraduate econ students? further, for me personally, this differs for everyone. Me personally, my mindset was, and it still is, if I'm at uni, I'm going there just to tick the box. I don't really care about the degree. I'm just doing it to get the job. So if I can get the job ASAP, I would do that. If you want to, some people want to do masters, some people want to do PhD. Personally, the only reason I went to uni was because I needed to tick the box in the application to go and secure the job. Uni was sick, don't get me wrong. I had a solid experience. I met so many cool people. I met my wife at uni actually. So yeah, uni was really good. But I do think uni for like what you in uni in London now, it's 27 grand, 9K a year. When I was at uni, it was 3 grand a year. So it's cheaper. I think it's a waste of time. Like a lot of you are paying 9 grand a year to learn online like this. And I don't know, I don't think the value is justified. I think university will be disrupted in the next 5 or 10 years heavily, because it's right now it's a big money making scheme. Don't get me wrong. If you're doing medicine or law, you need it to get into those fields, but you can get into an investment bank having studied Spanish, having studied history, geography, etc., etc. You learn a lot through uni experience. You meet lots of people, you character build. All of that is good, but for what it's worth, you don't need uni to go and get a job. Like, and so yeah, I don't know. I don't think uni is, if you want to do more education after your undergrad, do it, but everyone's choice is going to be different. The best way to get into a bank is secure the spring week, then the internship, then the grad scheme. If you don't get a grad scheme, do a master's if you can, and then apply for summer internships, so you give yourself another shot. What inspired you to start YouTube? That's a good question. So for me, this goes back to what I was saying about compliance. When you work for an investment bank, like when I was working at Goldman's, if I wanted to, so I started posting on LinkedIn, and then my following grew there to like 40,000 people. And then the people at work started like seeing it, and I was getting lots of attention. And then next thing you know, every time I posted anything finance related, I had to get it signed off. So it's like, before you post this, make sure you get your manager, compliance, and so managing director to approve it. So there's a lot of layers. And the reason for that is the investment banks don't want an employee to put something out there, and then the next day it ends up on the front page of the Financial Times. Funny, I say this because I'm sure a lot of you have seen the Goldman Sachs working hours survey. I've actually got the PDF on my desktop now, so I might do a video on that at some point. So this is exactly why there's so much reputational risk that the banks don't want to put out there to risk their brand. And so that's why a lot of people at these banks aren't allowed to create a YouTube channel and share tips, share advice, because it's just too risky for the company. So when I left Goldman's, I was like, there's no one out there creating any content for young people to break into the world of banking, finance, consulting, etc., etc. So let me just do one video a week and put it on YouTube, see what happens. Zero expectation. I don't care. I'm going to do it for 1 full year, since now I've got time on my hands, and see what happens. And then I started putting these videos out, and they started gaining traction. A lot of people found them useful. And then before you know it, we're here today, 70,000 subscribers, which is blows my mind. And yeah, so yeah, that the inspiration behind YouTube was just to kind of help people. I've always wanted to help young people, help people from underprivileged communities, because you see, like, a lot of people in these industries come from very middle class and privileged backgrounds. And it's not because they work harder than underprivileged kids. It's because these underprivileged kids don't really have access to all the opportunities. So I'm trying to kind of connect the two, open that door for them to a certain extent. Bear with me. I'm talking so much. Let me have a 2-second break. I just want to say, shout out to every single person in the chat. Shout out to everyone that's joined. Big shout out to Economics Explained. Jesus, 950k subs, and they're watching us in the chat. That's actually nuts. Economics Explained, thank you for joining us. hedge fund or private equity. I've done a video on that, I think, so do check that out. Geez, so many requests to review the slide deck that was released about Goldman and the working hours. So basically, there's this thing doing the rounds on the internet, a survey of 13 investment banking analysts at Goldman, and they were like complaining about how they get 5 hours of sleep a day. They work for 16, 17, 18 hours a day. Their mental and physical health is being tarnished, it's being destroyed. So I might have to do a video on that. Did you see Champions League draw? Yes, I did. What do you think of UBS Investment Bank? Look, for me, I'm always, beggars can't be choosers. If you're not in a position where you don't have 10 different offers, take what you can. If you do have the luxury of having 10 different offers, then you have luxury of choice, right? I love your videos. Thank you. Okay, bear with me. Sorry, people. Let's see. What time is it? 4:34 p.m. Jeez, I can't keep up with the chat. Yeah, what are your thoughts on a master's in finance? So that's a good question, actually. If you do your undergrad and you don't get an offer from an investment bank, and you want to do a master's, this is important. Undergrad, you could do any degree, doesn't matter. If you're going to do a master's and you want to break into banking, you want to do a master's that's specific to banking and finance. So you want to do a master's in investment management or a master's in private equity, master's in economics, etc. And ideally, you want to do it from a top uni. So a lot of my mates, I went to Queen Mary University of London, good uni, but it's not at the level of Oxford, Cambridge, LSE, etc. So a lot of my mates did their undergrad at Queen Mary, and then they did their masters in economics or whatever it is at LSE or Cambridge. So you want to do your masters at a better uni, and you want to make it specific to banking, finance, etc., because that will help you kind of increase your chances of getting an offer when you apply to these banks. Are there a lot of actuaries in investment banking? I didn't come across many in asset management. I don't know if there are many in investment banking, but there are tons of actuaries in the consulting firms. So we used to work with a lot of investment consultants, and a lot of the investment consultants have a lot of actuaries within they have, like, because they're modeling a lot of probabilities and risks and insurance, etc. So they're using a lot of actuaries knowledge and expertise, but I haven't come across many in the world of banking. Why did you do the KAYA? Good question. So the KAYA stands for the Chartered Alternative Investment Analyst. So this is another qualification. It's 2 levels. It's easier than the CFA, and it focuses on private equity, hedge funds, alternative investments, basically. The reason why I did KAYA, well, actually, I did level 1 out of 2. The reason why I did it, so when I was at Goldman's in asset management, part of my role was specifically covering private equity, hedge fund clients, so alternative investments. We've talked about lots of different asset classes, fixed income, equities, so on and so forth. When I was working on alternatives, I really enjoyed it, found it interesting. And so this is one of the reasons why I didn't want to do CFA is, one, I knew like I wasn't in that whole industry for the long term. So there's no point of me doing the CFA. 2, I really didn't enjoy studying. I wasn't really my focus wasn't there to study. I would rather go home after work and start building, I don't know, CV Doctor or planning other stuff, doing things that are more entrepreneurship related as opposed to studying. So I didn't really care about CFA, but my manager kept pushing me to do a qualification, we'll pay for it, blah, blah, blah. So I thought, all right, there's KAYA. So let me do KAYA. It's shorter, 2 levels as opposed to 3. And it's easier. So I did level 1, passed that, did level 2, didn't pass that. and then before I did it again, it came time to leave. So I was going, and then I didn't really need to do Kaya afterwards. So I recommend it if you're interested in the alternative space, but it's not as popular as CFA, or yeah, it's not as popular as CFA. For those asking, Kaya, we're spelling it CAIA, Chartered Alternative Investment Analyst. If you Google search it, you'll see all about it. And if you're doing CFA, or if you're doing FRM, Financial Risk Manager, these are the two popular ones. I should have a link in the description below. Analyst Prep, basically, they're a brand that I work with. Solid, they've got good programs, good courses, lots of videos. If you use, I think, Afzal 25, it will be in the link video description. You can get like 25% off. And yeah, if you use that, I'll get a kickback as well. So just putting it out there, use them. They're good. I recommend them. Nice lockdown hair. Thank you very much. This shout out, actually. So this haircut, my wife did it. My wife gave me this haircut. So shout out to her. I actually took it off her and went too high on one side. I'm not going to show you. And I messed up this side. But other than that, I think she did a great job. Any advice for a Bangladeshi to break into a board bracket investment bank? I am Bengali as well. If I did it, you can do it too, bro. Key is just find what you're interested in, read around it, try and network, try and be. My thing was I wanted to be the go-to guy at asset management at Queen Mary. I just wanted to be that guy, be on top of everything. And then when it came to interviews, I was able to speak easily on the topic, and it just comes across naturally if you know your stuff. So just focus, put in the work, and yeah, you'll be fine, man. And also, don't think, a lot of students, a lot of you out there will think, oh, I want to work in investment banking division, I want to work in sales and trading, and that's all you're going to apply to. You're not going to get every single offer that you apply for at a company, right? So you need to spread your eggs across different baskets. This is all stuff, it's common knowledge, but not many people actually put it into practice. Apply to consulting firms, apply to back office, apply to startups, tech, all of that. Because most people, after you enter the world of banking, after 1 or 2 years, they leave, they go do something else, they join a different company, join a different division. And so I highly doubt anyone in this chat is going to graduate, join a company, and stay there for their whole career, 30, 40 years. That's going to be dry. Even if you climb, that's a dry career. Like, you might want to move about. Like, personally, everyone's different. But like, explore. If you enjoy what you're doing, that's fine. Stay, climb, whatever, do your thing. But don't think you're going to graduate and just be in one job for your whole life. Some people do, and that's fine. But it's nice to explore sometimes. And that could mean explore different roles within the same company. Any tips for a 16-year-old planning on working as a financial analyst? I really love finance. I don't know, man. Just watch my videos and hopefully they can help you break in. Oh, let's go back to the Insta messages. Where are we? I heard they call you Messi. Why is that? Clearly because man is solid at football. How do I get hit? All right, so my mate's just spamming me with funny questions. Are you married? Yes, I am married. Here's the ring. How did you react when you saw the GS survey? What was your experience with work? Can I share my screen? Because if I can, this is the first time I'm doing this, so I'm a bit of a newbie. I don't know if I could share my screen. Manage. No. Can't share my screen, man. Anyway, so if you Google search Goldman Sachs analyst survey working hours, you'll see it all over the news. Am I surprised? How did I react? Honestly, I'm not surprised one bit. It's normal. If you're working in the investment banking division, sorry, you know what you're getting yourself into. If you're going to complain you're working too many long hours, do a different job, quit, leave. Everyone's circumstances are different, fair. But yeah, you could just, your exit opportunities are there. You can leave, take a pay cut. But then at the same time, these individuals who are complaining about the long hours want to earn lots of money. So it's like, yo, you can't have your cake and eat it. You can't like get it both ways. If you're signing up to Goldman, and I was talking to this about this earlier, and these are the views that a lot of people were sharing. If you signed up to Goldman and they promised you one type of working lifestyle and they've completely gone back on their word and it's nothing like they said, then fair, yeah, you've got ripped off. It's not fair. But if you knew what you were signing up to, then you only have yourself to blame. You're in a position where you can decide to leave, stay. It's totally up to you. But yeah, those working hours are normal for the investment banking division. Not one thing in that survey surprised me. That's the culture of investment banking. That's how it is. And that's why personally, I went for asset management. Like I don't want to work 12, 15, 16, 17 hours a day for 2 years. Nah, I don't know, man. I can't, not for me. So yeah, I'm not surprised. Geez, 45 minutes already. Time is flying. Can you share something? What programming language? Are you any good at FIFA? The person who knows, who you are, that's asking me, are you any good at FIFA? Just know I destroyed you 9-1 the other day, mate. What do you advise studying at university other than economics? Honestly, study what you enjoy. Study something that you're going to perform well in, because getting a higher grade is more important than doing something just for the sake of everyone else is doing it and then not performing well in it. So yeah, your degree, you can get into an investment bank by doing any degree. You just need to try and secure a spring week or an internship, build up your CV with extracurricular activities, and yeah, just pitch yourself. Your CV is one page where you need to pitch yourself to the reader. So you do that by building up your experience, having good grades, doing extra stuff. Did you always want to do asset management? Good question. I not always. Well, when I was at uni, I didn't know what asset management was. Luckily, I did a spring week at BlackRock. So I had a mentor from BlackRock, reached out to them and I said, yo, can I spend some time on the trading floor? So I got into BlackRock, spent time on the trading floor. So with the portfolio management teams, spent time with the sales teams. And it was there that I realized asset management is sick. I like it. I feel like this is something I want to do, learn more about it. And it was from then that I decided, all right, second year uni, I'm just applying to asset management and private banking. And then it went from there. First year, I was applying investment banking division, sales and trading, asset management, research, everything. Didn't have a clue. Did so many online tests, failed so many online tests, got to assessment centers. Some went well, some didn't, but it was more exploration. So yeah, first year explore, second year double down on something specific. Who is your all-time favorite footballer? Interesting. For me, all-time favorite footballer, this is a random question, but fair, is the Brazilian Ronaldo. Yeah, Brazilian Ronaldo, OG, best striker ever, just complete player for me. Obviously, people say Ronaldo, Messi, and all of that. They're great, but for me, it was Ronaldo, Brazilian. Just watching him growing up, it was just too good. Did you go to New York for training when you joined Goldman Sachs? Yes, so that was actually sick. I can't lie. So when you join Goldman's, I don't know how it is now because of the pandemic. When you join, all the technology graduates, they got 10 weeks in New York. Asset management, we got 5. IBD, I think, got 5 or 6. Sales and trading, 5 or 6. But yeah, technology, 10 weeks in New York. Anyway, so you go New York 5 weeks and then you do training, you end up just chilling for 5 weeks, getting to network, getting to meet people, exploring New York. Yeah, it was a sick time. It feels so long ago now though. Okay, what's going on here? Someone is spamming the chat. Can economics and management at Oxford get me right into a hedge fund with a first? Honestly, your degree and what grade you get isn't like 100% determining factor in whether you get into a hedge fund. There's so many other factors. You might be a solid candidate, but you get into the interview and the person that's interviewing you doesn't really like you. And then that's it. That's your offer gone out the window. So yes, obviously, if you have Oxford on your CV, helps you a lot. Brand is powerful, but there's a lot more to it. You need to know your stuff. So yeah, keep that in mind. I'm going to chill on here for another 2 minutes, and it is Friday 10 to 5, and then I'm going to bounce. Let me know in the chat what you're doing this Friday evening, or let me know in the chat where you from. Are a lot of you from the UK, from the US, Europe, Africa, Asia? Let me know. You know what, Eric Faye, you're right. I think next time I'm going to get someone. I might get my missus to moderate this for me, because I think doing it on my own, even for me, I just need a bit of human interaction. Someone moderating questions will be a lot better. Jeez, all over the world. Germany, Spain, Italy, Denmark, New York, Greece, South Africa, West London, Netherlands. Holy shit. So many people. This is cool. Afzal, can you mentor me? Bro, this YouTube, this Q&A, see this as mentorship. I would love to mentor you, but there's just so many people asking, and so it's tricky for me to pick 1 or 2 people. Okay. What other YouTubers are you following that that you find useful in the career space? What YouTubers would you like me to collaborate with? What would you like to see on the channel? A lot of this, look, for me, I'm learning just as much as you guys are. So if you want to see something specific from me, if you want me to do something more of, if you want me to do less of something, let me know. I'm all ears. What is the most common mistake people make in interviews? Okay, so this one's pretty straightforward. You want to go to an interview and you want to be yourself, because if you aren't yourself in the interview and you get the offer, you're going to enter the world of work, and then naturally people are going to find out. Also, if you go into the interview and you put on an accent, or you try and speak formally, or you're trying to act like someone you're not, chances are, or you try and come across as smarter or a know-it-all, chances are the person on the other side of the table will see right through it. So first and foremost, be yourself. Secondly, don't give that stupid example of, oh, when they say, oh, what can be improved about your skill set? Do you think, what are you particularly not good at? Don't use that perfectionist example. We've heard it so many times, and it's so cringe if you say, oh, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. When I work, I try and do everything perfectly, blah, blah, blah. Don't use the perfectionist example. It's a bit cringe. People have heard it enough. What else? Do your research on the company. Do your research on the division, the company. Know the CEO's name, whether it's a female or a male, how long they've been there. Small things like that. You don't want to get asked in an interview, oh, who's running our company? And you don't know the answer to that basic question. So do the research on the company, the division, current affairs, what's going on in the news with that company specifically. Any good things, flag those. Don't touch on negative stuff, obviously, but just do your research. Technical questions. What is a discounted cash flow in investment banking? What is a pension fund in asset management? What is a call option in sales and trading? Know these basic technical answers, because you will get asked them. Brain teasers are hard to practice or prepare for because you don't know what they're going to ask you, but it's all about thought process. How do you approach a problem? How do you think out loud? And how do you get to the solution? Always think about things like that. Is it worth applying for internships online, or should you just network? Networking isn't going to get you a job. It's not going to get you a contract. You need to apply online, offline, however you do it, apply. In this case, obviously, apply online. So yeah, a combination of both is best, applying online and networking. So definitely do that. How do I meet a girl in uni? I got no game, bro. Honestly, mate, I went to uni with my head down. I was like, I'm just gonna focus on, doing me, getting these offers and kicking, graduating, getting my job and going away. But I, like my other half was also applying in banking, spring weeks, internships, all of that. So we kind of just worked. We're like close friends more than anything. And then yeah, man, at uni I met lots of good people, man. But yeah, if you're at uni, just do you, focus on you. Whatever happens will happen. So yeah. Now I'm giving life advice. Jeez. We've been on for 54 minutes. Jeez. Okay. Lots of similar questions. I'm going to take one last question and then we're going to call it a day. And I might do the same thing next week or at some point in the future. If this was useful, let me know in the chat by saying yes. And if it wasn't useful, if it was a waste of an hour, let me know in the chat by saying no. Thinking of one final question to take. Which one? Are investment bankers unhappy? Let's just say, are people that work for an investment bank unhappy? Some are, some aren't. That is a very broad question. And look, honestly, in every field, in every career, you're going to have people that love their job and you're going to have people that don't, and you're going to have people in the middle, and that's completely fine. So yeah, that is a straight up basic answer to your question. Are investment bankers happy? Some are, some aren't. With that, I want to say big thank you for everyone that joined today. I enjoyed helping or sharing my answers, giving you guys responses to your questions. And yeah, I'm going to close this stream now. And I just want to say have a lovely weekend to every single one of you, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Well, I will see you in the next video. Peace. This is the bit you never see, basically. Peace.